All right, welcome back everybody. And today I want to look at one of the most powerful features of Photoshop. Um, so far we've been playing around a little bit with masking and painting and such. And if that was it, then it was really just a deluxe version of Paint or something like that. But Photoshop has an incredible feature called layers. And you may have explored the idea of layers in other programs, but it really shines in Photoshop. So here's how it works. First of all, your layers should be over here. And if you don't see them, make sure you go up under the Window menu and turn on your layers. And you should see something a little bit like this here, layers. And you can see right now we are in the background layer. So I want you to think of layers like stacked pieces of glass on top of each other. And you can paint on any of these pieces of glass so that each part of your image is actually completely separate, even though they look together. So here's how it works. In the layers here right now, we're working on the background layer. You can see it's locked. And for reasons that we'll go into a little bit later, you generally don't want to work in the background. The background should be really just the color of your canvas, if you will. So I'm going to start off right away by making a brand new layer. And with this, it's this little plus layer down here. And you'll see we get a brand new layer called layer 1. And in it is you can actually see it's this checkerboard pattern, which indicates clearness. It's really hard to show what's clear on a screen. But if I hide the background layer, you can see with the little eyeball here, you see this checkerboard pattern indicates that it's transparent. Now, the first thing you want to do is keep your stuff organized and keep track of your layers. So I'm going to start off with um, a layer here. I'm going to just call this blue circle. And that's what's I'm going to put into this layer. So I'm going to go grab my elliptical marquee tool, make a little circle here, and I'm going to choose color blue and just use my paint bucket and just dump that in there and deselect. Perfect. So I've got a blue circle, and you can see here that there is a little blue circle in that. Now, the cool part is I'm going to make a new layer, and on this one, I'm going to call it red square. Just name that layer. You can just double click to name it there. And I'm going to go grab my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to put a red square here. Use my paint bucket to just dump some, make sure I'm in the layer here. Um, click that there and then deselect. Perfect. So you can see I've got a red square layer and a blue circle layer, and the red square layer is covering, you'll notice, the blue circle. If you look at that tiny little thumbnail, you can probably see that it is still a full circle there. And this is the powerful part of this. You can actually change the order of your layers if you want. So if I grab that blue layer and I drag it on top, you can see the blue circle layer is on top of the red circle or the red square, and it in fact covers over that, or flipping it back around there, you can see the layer on top covers things that are below it. We can also do some cool things, which is change the opacity of an entire layer. So previously we looked at changing the opacity of a paint color, but if I want, I can do that to the entire layer non-destructively. So I can start to, drop it down, and I can see that it fades out and kind of lets the layers below through, and actually combines and blends them together. So you can get some very cool effects there. The other powerful, and this is the most amazing part of the layers, is that when you are clicked on a layer, you can see I've selected this layer, so I'm in the red square layer. If I go and grab, say, where's my eraser tool here? There we go, grab my eraser tool. When you are working in a layer, you can only change and edit that layer. Think of it like selecting that piece of glass and working with that piece of glass. So if I grab my eraser tool, you will see that as I erase, I only erase what's in the red square layer. And if I switch to, say, the blue circle layer here, you'll see that I only erase what's in the blue circle layer, and I can only affect that. So that is an incredible feature of this, and you're going to see where we can do some really cool things later on with that. But let's also see some other features of this layers. So the other cool thing about these layers is they're independent, right? So I could, for instance, think about I wanted to move the red square around. I can it's be like shifting the piece of glass, and it's a infinitely sized piece of glass that I can move. So I have a new tool here, which we haven't looked at, which is the move tool. And the move tool allows us to move a whole layer. Um, or a selection. And it tries to be a little bit smart there. So notice I didn't move anything over here because there was nothing there. But if I grab the red square, I can just pick it up and move it around. And if I grab the blue circle, you can see it automatically adjusts and grabs the layer here. So now that I've got these things, I can pick them up, move them around, and edit them independently um, of that. If you don't want to automatically select, there is a little checkbox up here called auto select. That means if I'm in the blue circle layer, and sometimes this happens when you have a lot of stuff and you want to move something that's small. In this case now, it doesn't matter where I click in that layer, it grabs the blue circle layer that I have manually chosen. But I find this auto select is kind of handy because it's often you grab the thing that you want to move and it will switch layers for you. The other thing that you can do, very cool, is in addition to just moving around layers, is we can actually change what the layer is. And there's another little box up here in the context menu called Show Transform Controls. I'm going to just check that here, and you will see the little handles up here on the layer. And this means we can actually modify a layer in real time. So in this case, I can grab the corners here and I can resize the layer, or I can go just out to the outside here and I can transform the layer and reshape it to do whatever I want with that layer and position all the elements that I have brought in together. Now, when you are mid-transform, you're going to see up top here a little checkbox or a cancel appears, or down here in the context, it's either cancel it or done. It wants to know, do I like this change before I move on and do anything else? So I can say, yeah, I'm happy and I'm done, and it will apply that transformation for me. Um, or I didn't want to do that, so I just click cancel. Blue circle, we can also do and change things like that. So you've got a lot of power that layers allow you to move things, change things, and alter things after the fact. And let's look at some amazing things in class that we can do with this. So long story short there, layers, very powerful. When you are clicked and selected in a layer, you can only change what is in that layer, very much like a selection. Um, we can also grab that and say, move that selection there. I want the move tool there. It's also going to move only the selected thing, so you can kind of combine those ideas of only moving a thing that's only editing something that's been selected and only working in a single layer um, for creating some really, really cool things and really, really cool features.